Politicians are paralyzed, and a wealth tax isn't coming unless we do it ourselves. There's a simple strategy that we can use to create a private wealth transfer from the wealthy that uses the digital and information economy as our weapon. It's a blackout that applies a direct wealth tax to the ultra rich, all without government intervention. There are simple things that we can do to change the economic landscape. Why do we allow the wealthy to avoid paying their taxes on their businesses? Nothing trickles down. According to this report from American University, wages only account for 32% of the top 1% of income. A significant source of their income comes from capital gains, dividends, and pass-through income. Pass-through income primarily represents pure business profits after investment. In 2019, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act allowed a 20% deduction for pass-through income under Form 199A. It's a category that accounts for the vast majority of income from self-employed and small to mid-sized businesses. However, the deductions are concentrated amongst high earners, with over a third claimed by taxpayers with adjusted gross income exceeding $1 million. Programs like the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act appear to help the economy on its face, but once you take a deeper look, it's another scheme that extracts wealth. As usual, I linked my resources in the video description. I encourage you to read Assessing the Effects of Keeping Top Individual Income Tax Rates Low from American University, as well as How Do Business Owners Respond to a Tax Cut from Columbia Law. Look, I get it. Many people who are considered rich are so because of the value of the stock that they own. Musk, he's a prime example. The value of his portfolio lies in the perceived value of his businesses. He won't be taxed on stock that he hasn't sold, but he gets to use those stocks as collateral for loans. He's the richest man because he has the stock, but it's not his money yet. He's been playing Monopoly while the rest of us are playing Chutes and Ladders. We've been focused on being rewarded for good deeds and having consequences for being naughty. They play to make money, not friends, and they apologize for nothing. A wealth tax would do more than just generate billions in revenue. It would eliminate tax credits like the work opportunity tax credit, which incentivizes companies like Walmart to hire people by offering the company a tax credit of up to $9,600 per person. And these credits, they don't require the company to provide livable wages to its employees. Credits like these allow companies like Walmart to pay less in taxes. It incentivizes them to hire the people they would have hired anyway and not pay them enough money to exit the government assistance programs this credit considers. It would be one thing if they pass that savings that they're making from these credits onto their employees or their customers, but they don't. It's passed on as profits to shareholders, the people who are not adding value. So we need to tax corporations into oblivion. If you have worked for a company in the last 5 years, tell me in the comments if you've experienced any of these. Layoffs of you or your coworkers, being understaffed. You've received an annual pay raise that was lower than expected or just none at all. Your PTO changed to unlimited, but you can't seem to get time off. Personally, I haven't worked for a company since 2022, and I experienced 3 of the 4. The reason I didn't experience all 4, the annual pay raise, it's because 2 years prior, our pay was lowered twice in 1 year, so expecting a pay raise at all was never an option. This chart from the Fed shows us that corporate profits and personal income usually align. Since these videos are bite-sized, we can discuss the problem with the disposable income figure in the comments. Let's focus on what this chart does in 2020 and how profits and disposable personal income diverge. Where are the corporate profits going? About 76% of the growth in corporate profits earned by domestic non-financial industries was driven by an increase in the dividends rewarding shareholders. You cannot convince me that little Graham day trading on his laptop by the pool is creating more value than Martha, who is filling the shelves with milk so customers can buy it. The people leading these corporations aren't worried about rewards for good behavior or consequences for doing bad. Monopoly is why we should tax corporations into oblivion. We know that most companies wouldn't respond to higher taxes by simply paying workers more or by lowering prices. They'd seek out deductions and credits and hire accountants to develop tax avoidance strategies. Again, they play Monopoly. So we have to change some of the rules. We have to eliminate tax avoidance schemes that don't benefit innovation, employees, and customers, and keep the schemes that do. What's possible when you change the rules to benefit the people over profits? Better retirement and health plans provide employees with security. Employee stock options help improve work income, engagement, and retention. More research and development accelerate innovation. Training, it motivates the workforce. Philanthropy provides benefits to the community. Environmental investments improve the quality of the environment. It's capital investment improves facilities. Dividends make the richer richer. Tax strategies can create mutual value for shareholders, workers, customers, and society rather than merely serving as loopholes meant to siphon wealth. But like I said before, politicians are paralyzed by the money they're paid to do the bidding for the wealthy. So we'll have to tax them ourselves. And I do really appreciate Massachusetts' millionaire tax, but it's essential to tax the money before it reaches the millionaires. If you're not familiar with it, it's the tax that inspired Mamdani. It imposes a 4% surcharge on annual personal income over $1 million, in addition to the state's flat income tax. It has generated $3 billion more in revenue than expected without forcing significant high-profile departures from the state. Super PACs supporting Andrew Cuomo and opposing Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral race have raised over $40 million, with millions coming from prominent billionaires and family dynasties. Those are earnings your labor created. We need to stop holding our breath waiting for the government to tax wealth over work. We have to impact the perceived value of these businesses. There are simple things that we can do. Many products and inventions are now public domain. That means anyone can make, sell, or adapt them. These are things where the patents may have expired, generic versions of branded goods, or even inventions released by governments. So let's utilize those over the brand name. Open source software offers us lower costs. It gives us greater flexibility, transparency, and in general, greater control over your technology. The idea is that these resources aren't locked behind corporate control. It's why I use Proton products. Proton was launched in 2014 through crowdfunding. It's fully open source. The code is publicly available for anyone to inspect. It can be independently verified for security and for privacy. If you want 75% off of Proton VPN or other Proton products, the link is in my description. Using the link does support a product that I trust along with supporting my channel. Unions, they force private companies to distribute a greater share of profits to its workers in the form of higher wages, better benefits, and stock options. When you see union activities, support them. Do not be the scab. Tomorrow, SNAP benefits are ending. There should be a public pressure campaign towards the ultra wealthy to increase their philanthropic giving. If they have money to buy elections, they have the money to buy food for people who need a meal. Divest from companies that don't meet their social responsibility. And this is twofold. Don't invest in them if you are an investor, and avoid their products and services if you're a buyer. Why invest in a company that can't explain how building robots supports its mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy? Tesla is a company whose profits continue to slide as its CEO campaigns for a $1 trillion paycheck, all while not going to work. You and I, we'd be fired on attendance alone. Why would you invest in him? Why would you buy a product that he oversees? I'm not a fan of OpenAI Sam Altman, but what if he just started a trend? One where next gen Roadster reservation holders asked for their $45,000 deposits back. What would happen to the house of cards that is Tesla? I don't have an answer, but I'd love to see what you think in the comments. Maybe it would be like a Depression era bank run. Tesla would have to turn these zero interest loans into cash. Or they could fulfill the promise of a car that was supposed to come out in 2020. Why would we buy from a company whose CEO is campaigning for a $1 trillion payday? It doesn't make sense. After tanking the company's sales with all his political machinations, report their ads. Mark them as not interested. Close the app when you see their ads. There is so much wealth in these digital platforms. We have to impact their pay. Delete the apps from your phone. I'm talking about shopping apps too. Remove your credit card information from your browser and from your phone. We have to add friction to the purchase process. Frankly, don't make any purchases from your phone at all. Retailers hate when you buy things on your laptop. It lowers your impulse buying. Mobile gives them richer analytics and behavioral data. It's easier to upsell you from your phone. There is less friction and abandonment from your mobile phone. A lot of people are losing jobs right now, and at the same time, you don't have to start a business on your own. It's the perfect time for folks to come together and create cooperatives, one where everyone is working as an owner, and these cooperatives, they take control and they distribute the profits among a group of worker owners. The tax is to make sure these people never get our money in the first place, and cooperatives helps us do that. I want you to share some ideas for collective actions that we can take to tax the wealthy before we can have a wealth tax. I will see you in the comments, and thank you to everybody who bought me a coffee through Coffee or Super Thanks. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kina. I talk about hard things with a soft voice. Subscribe if you want to hear my voice again. Otherwise, you can just watch this next. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.